The impossible signal Captain Elena Vasquez floated in the observation deck of the research vessel Prometheus, watching the distant stars through the reinforced viewport. 3 years into their deep space mission to catalog new systems, her crew of 42 scientists and support staff had become like family. The Prometheus was humanity's most advanced research ship, but it carried no weapons beyond basic mining lasers. Earth's philosophy had always been peaceful exploration, not conquest. Dr. Marcus Chan drifted up beside her, his usually cheerful face showing concern. As the ship's communications officer, Marcus had spent the last 6 hours trying to decode strange signals they had detected from the Kepler 442 system. The signals were clearly artificial, but unlike anything in Earth's databases. "Captain, you need to see this," Marcus said, handing her a datapad. "I've been analyzing the transmission patterns. These aren't random communications. They're tactical. Coordinates, fleet movements, and what appears to be resource allocation data." Elena studied the information, her stomach tightening. The mathematics were elegant but cold, calculating the value of planetary resources with clinical precision. One set of calculations made her blood run cold. It was Earth's solar system, complete with detailed resource estimates and population data. How do they know so much about Earth? Elena asked. "That's not the worst part," Marcus replied. "I've been tracking their fleet movements based on these communications. Captain, there are over 300 ships heading toward Earth. They'll arrive in 6 months." Lieutenant Sarah Knox approached from the tactical station. Despite being the ship's security officer, Sarah's role had always been theoretical. The Prometheus had never encountered hostile life forms, and Earth's peaceful contact protocols assumed any alien species would be friendly. "Captain, I've been monitoring their communications patterns," Sarah said. "These aliens, whoever they speak in a very direct way. No metaphors, no implied meanings. Everything is stated exactly as they mean it. It's almost like they're incapable of saying anything but the literal truth." Elena nodded thoughtfully. This was fascinating from a xenolinguistic perspective, but terrifying from a survival standpoint. A species that communicated only in absolute truths might not understand negotiation or diplomacy as humans knew it. The bridge communicator chimed with an incoming transmission. Marcus rushed to his station and began working to decode the signal. After several minutes, a mechanical voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect English. "Human vessel, you will respond immediately. We are the hegemony. Your species has been marked for harvesting. Resistance is futile. Acknowledge this transmission." Eleni felt her heart racing, but she forced herself to remain calm. Her crew looked to her for leadership, and panic would help no one. She walked to the communications console and nodded to Marcus. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth research vessel Prometheus. We receive your transmission. What do you mean by harvesting?" The response came quickly, cold and matter-of-fact. "Your planet contains resources required by the hegemony. Your population will be relocated to labor facilities. Your compliance will determine survival rates. You have been warned." Sarah stepped forward, her military training taking over despite their hopeless situation. "Captain, these communications are being transmitted on multiple frequencies simultaneously. They're not just talking to us. They're broadcasting to their entire fleet." Elena realized this was actually first contact with an alien species, but it was nothing like Earth's scientists had imagined. There were no cultural exchanges or peaceful meetings. These aliens saw humanity as a resource to be harvested, nothing more. "Alien vessel," Elena said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We are a peaceful species. We have no quarrel with your hegemony. Perhaps we can reach some kind of agreement." The alien voice responded with what sounded like confusion. "Agreement is not possible. The hegemony requires your resources. Your opinions are irrelevant. Your resistance capabilities are minimal. We have observed your vessels. They carry no weapons of significance. Elena glanced at Sarah, who was studying the tactical display. The security officer's expression was grim. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of maybe 60 ships like the Prometheus, all designed for research and exploration. Against 300 alien warships, humanity would be wiped out in hours. But then Sarah said something that changed everything. Captain, did you notice how they said they observed our vessels? They're making assumptions about our capabilities, based on what they can see. But what if what they can see isn't everything? Marcus caught on immediately. They communicate only in literal truths, so they probably expect others to do the same. They might not understand the concept of hiding information or misdirection. Elena felt a spark of hope. It was desperate and probably impossible, but it was the only chance humanity had. If these aliens couldn't lie and didn't expect others to lie, then maybe they could be misled about Earth's true capabilities. Marcus, can you establish a direct communication channel to Earth? Yes, Captain, but it will take 18 hours for messages to reach Earth and 18 hours for responses to come back. Then we need to buy time. Elena turned back to this communications console. Alien Commander, my ship is only a research vessel. I don't have the authority to speak for my species. You will need to communicate with our military command. There was a pause. Then the alien voice responded. Your military command is separate from your exploration forces? Elena seized on this. Of course. Our research ships are unarmed because we use them for peaceful exploration. Our military forces are ... different. Explain these military forces. Elena's mind raced. She had to be careful. These aliens seemed to detect lies, so she had to tell truths that implied things that weren't true. Our military operates under different protocols than our research division. They have access to technologies and strategies that research ships like mine don't use. This was technically true. Earth's military did operate under different protocols, even if those protocols were mainly defensive and the technologies were mostly theoretical weapons that had never been built. What is the strength of your military forces? The alien asked. I don't have access to that information, Elena replied honestly. Military strength is classified above my security level. You would need to speak with our strategic command. Again, this was true. Elena really didn't know the exact specifications of Earth's military capabilities, mostly because they barely existed. Sarah was working frantically at her station, sending coded messages to Earth on quantum channels the aliens hopefully couldn't detect. She had outlined Elena's strategy and was requesting that Earth play along with the deception. Dr. Chun was monitoring alien communications, and he suddenly looked up with excitement. Captain, they're discussing us among their fleet. They're saying that human military capabilities are unknown variables, and that they need more intelligence before proceeding. Elena felt a surge of hope. The aliens were professional military commanders, which meant they would be cautious about unknown threats. If she could make Earth seem like more of a risk than it actually was, they might hesitate long enough for humanity to find a real solution. Alien Commander, Elena said, I suggest you contact our strategic command directly. I can provide you with the proper channels, but I should warn you that our military leadership takes a very different approach to first contact than our research divisions do. Explain this difference. Elena chose her words carefully. Research personnel like myself are trained for peaceful contact. Military personnel are trained for threat assessment and response. Their reaction to your harvesting plans may be quite different from mine. The alien was quiet for several minutes. Elena could hear other alien voices in the background, speaking in their own language. Finally, the commander responded. We will delay our approach to your system until we have communicated with your military leadership. Provide the communication frequencies immediately. Sarah quickly sent Elena a list of Earth's actual military communication codes, along with a message that Earth Command was standing by to continue the deception. "I'm transmitting the frequencies now," Elena said. "But Commander, I should mention that our strategic command will probably want to verify your military capabilities before engaging in any discussions. They tend to be thorough, in there. Threat assessments. What kind of verification?" Elena took a deep breath. This was the biggest gamble yet. "They'll want to see demonstrations of your weapon systems, fleet coordination, tactical doctrines. Our military leaders believe in understanding exactly what they're facing before making any strategic decisions. The alien commander seemed to. Consider this. This is acceptable. We will provide military demonstrations. Your strategic command will see the futility of resistance." After the communication ended, Elena slumped against the wall. She had bought Earth some time, but she had also potentially made things worse. Now the aliens would demonstrate their overwhelming military superiority to Earth's leaders. But Sarah was smiling. "Captain, don't you realize what you've done? You've made them think Earth's military is professional and cautious. They're going to approach this like a proper military engagement instead of a simple harvesting operation." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "And if they're going to demonstrate their capabilities, that means they're taking Earth seriously as a potential threat. We're not just resources anymore. We're opponents." Elena began to understand, by implying that Earth had hidden military capabilities and professional strategic leadership. She had changed the aliens' entire approach. Instead of seeing humans as helpless victims, they now saw them as an unknown military factor that required proper assessment. The Prometheus continued its journey back toward Earth, but now it carried more than scientific data. It carried this seeds of the greatest deception in human history, one that would either save their species or doom them all when the truth was finally revealed. The grand deception 18 hours later, Elena received confirmation that Earth's strategic command had accepted her desperate plan. Admiral Rebecca Harrison, Earth's highest military commander, had agreed to participate in what she called the most audacious bluff in human history. The alien fleet had slowed its approach and was now requesting formal military communications with Earth's strategic command. Elena watched from the Prometheus as the greatest deception ever attempted by humanity began to unfold. "Admiral." Harrison's voice came through the quantum communicator, steady and professional. She was speaking to Commander Zektar, the alien fleet leader, using carefully chosen words that implied far more than they actually stated. "Commander Zektar, I am Admiral Harrison of Earth Strategic Command. I understand your forces are approaching our system with hostile intent." Zektar's mechanical voice responded, "Your system contains resources required by the hegemony. Your population will be relocated efficiently. Resistance will only increase casualties. Commander, before we discuss any arrangements, my staff needs to understand your military capabilities. We've analyzed your fleet composition from long-range sensors, but our tactical assessment requires more detailed information." Elena smiled. Earth had no long-range sensors capable of analyzing the alien fleet, but Zektar didn't know that. The alien commander seemed pleased that humans were taking a professional military approach. "What information do you require?" Zektar asked. "Standard military protocols, Commander. Weapon specifications, shield capabilities, fleet coordination systems. My strategists need complete data to make informed recommendations to our leadership." Dr. Chun was monitoring the alien communications and whispered to Elena, "They're actually going to tell us everything. They think this is normal military procedure." Over the next several hours, the aliens provided detailed specifications of their weapons, shields, ship designs, and tactical doctrines. They were clearly proud of their military superiority and eager to demonstrate why resistance was futile. But Admiral Harrison used each piece of information to build her deception further. "Impressive plasma cannon technology, Commander," she said after reviewing their weapons data. "Our kinetic bombardment systems operate on different principles, but the energy output is comparable." Earth had no kinetic bombardment systems, but the aliens didn't know that. They began asking questions about human weapons technology, and Harrison provided carefully vague responses that sounded professional but revealed nothing concrete. "Our defensive systems are classified, Commander, but I can tell you that we've been preparing for potential extraterrestrial contact for over 50 years. Earth's survival protocols are comprehensive." Sarah was coordinating with Earth's military to create false evidence of these fictional defense systems. Mining operations throughout the solar system began broadcasting fake military signals. Civilian ships started moving in patterns that resembled patrol formations. Even space stations began transmitting encrypted communications that sounded like military traffic. The deception grew larger as more people became involved. Dr. Angela Foster, Earth's leading xenopsychology expert, was coaching Admiral Harrison on how to exploit the aliens' inability to understand deception. "Remember," Dr. Foster said during a strategy session, "they can't lie and don't expect others to lie. But they can make incorrect assumptions based on incomplete information. We're not telling them falsehoods. We're letting them draw wrong conclusions." Commander Zektar was becoming increasingly concerned about what he called intelligence gaps regarding human military capabilities. His fleet had originally planned a simple harvesting operation, but now they were preparing for potential military engagement with an unknown opponent. "Admiral Harrison," Zektar said during one communication session, "our scouts report unusual energy signatures throughout your system. These do not match the specifications of your research vessels." Harrison responded calmly, "Of course not, Commander. Research vessels use completely different power systems than our defense platforms. I would expect your readings to show significant differences." Elena listened in amazement as Earth's admiral turned every alien observation into evidence of humanity's fictional military might. When aliens detected mining explosions, Harrison called them weapons testing. When they saw civilian ships changing course, she described them as patrol rotations. But the most brilliant part of the deception was when Zektar asked about Earth's military history. "Admiral, our intelligence indicates your species has a history of internal conflicts. This suggests military experience." Harrison's response was masterful. "Commander, humanity has been refining warfare for thousands of years. We've fought with everything from primitive weapons to advanced technology. Our military doctrines incorporate lessons learned from countless conflicts." This was completely true, but it made humanity sound like a species of professional warriors, rather than the peaceful explorers they actually were in space. Dr. Chun had been studying alien psychology through their communications, and he made a crucial discovery. "Captain," he told Elena, "I think I understand their weakness. The hegemony has conquered 43 worlds, but they've always faced technologically inferior species. They use overwhelming force against helpless opponents. They don't know how to fight an equal opponent because they've never had to." Elena realized this meant the aliens were not just militarily superior, but also tactically inexperienced against competent opposition. Their entire strategy was based on intimidation and overwhelming force, not actual military tactics. Admiral Harrison began exploiting this weakness. She started discussing Earth's defensive strategy in terms that implied humanity was prepared for a long, difficult campaign. "Commander, my staff has been analyzing your fleet composition. Interesting deployment pattern. We've prepared contingency plans for various approach vectors. But your formation suggests you're expecting minimal resistance, Zektar responded. Defensively, our formation is optimal for resource harvesting operations. I see. Our tactical analysis indicated this was a harvesting formation rather than a combat deployment. My strategists found this ... curious. Given that you're approaching a defended system. Elena could hear the uncertainty creeping into Zektar's voice. Your system is defended? Commander, surely you didn't expect to find an undefended world. Any species capable of interstellar communication would naturally develop defensive capabilities. The alien fleet began changing formation, shifting from a resource harvesting configuration to a more cautious military approach. They were now treating Earth as a potential military threat rather than an easy target. But the deception faced its greatest test when Admiral Thymos, the Supreme Commander of the Hegemony, joined the communications. His voice was colder and more calculating than Zektar's. Human Admiral, I am Thymos. Your defensive preparations are noted, but ultimately irrelevant. The Hegemony has conquered 43 worlds. Your resistance will be brief. Admiral Harrison's response was crucial. Supreme Commander, I respect your military achievements. 43 worlds is impressive. However, I should point out that none of those worlds were defended by a spacefaring civilization with 50 years of preparation time. Explain this preparation. Supreme Commander, Earth detected your approach vector 18 months ago. Our deep space monitoring network has been tracking your fleet since you entered our Galactic sector. We've had considerable time to ready our defenses. This was completely false. Earth had no deep space monitoring network and had only learned of the alien fleet 3 days ago. But Thymos had no way to know this. The Supreme Commander was quiet. For several minutes, finally, he spoke. Your monitoring capabilities extend 18 months of travel time from your system? Our monitoring capabilities are classified, Supreme Commander, but I can confirm that Earth does not engage in military operations without thorough intelligence gathering. Elena watched as the alien fleet's approach slowed even further. They were now proceeding with extreme caution, expecting sophisticated defenses and prepared resistance. Dr. Foster had been analyzing alien psychology and made another crucial insight. She sent a message to Admiral Harrison. The Hegemony values efficiency above all else. They conquer worlds quickly and move on. A prolonged military campaign goes against their entire operational philosophy. Admiral Harrison used this knowledge in her next communication with Thymos. Supreme Commander, my staff has completed their analysis of your tactical capabilities. Impressive technology, but designed for rapid conquest operations. Our defensive strategy is built around extended resistance. We're prepared for a campaign lasting several years if necessary. The effect on the aliens was dramatic. Extended. Military campaigns were apparently something the Hegemony avoided at all costs. Their entire empire was built on quick victories and efficient resource extraction. Thymos responded with the first sign of uncertainty they had heard from any alien commander. Years of resistance would be inefficient. Admiral Harrison pressed her advantage. Supreme Commander, perhaps there's an alternative. Earth has resources, but we also have technologies that might interest the Hegemony. Instead of a costly military campaign, we might consider a trade arrangement. The word costly had a profound effect on the aliens. Elena realized that the Hegemony's entire civilization was based on cost-benefit analysis. They conquered worlds because it was efficient, not because they enjoyed warfare. What followed was the most tense negotiation in human history. Admiral Harrison offered to trade advanced defensive technologies and strategic intelligence in exchange for humanity's freedom. She implied that Earth's defensive systems incorporated innovations that would be valuable to the Hegemony. Of Course, Earth had no advanced defensive technologies to trade, but the aliens didn't know that. They were now treating humanity as a potential military ally rather than a resource to be harvested. The negotiation continued for days, with Admiral Harrison skillfully maintaining the illusion that Earth was a military power worth respecting rather than conquering. She spoke of mutually beneficial arrangements and strategic partnerships, while never quite admitting that humanity was helpless. Finally, Supreme Commander Thymos made an offer that stunned everyone listening. Admiral Harrison, the hegemony proposes a non-aggression pact. Earth will maintain its independence in exchange for providing defensive technology consultations to hegemony operations. This arrangement is more efficient than conquest. Elena couldn't believe what she was hearing. The aliens were offering to leave Earth alone in exchange for military advice that humanity wasn't qualified to give. Admiral Harrison accepted the offer with professional calm, even though Elena knew she must be celebrating inside. As the alien fleet changed course away from Earth, Elena realized that humanity had achieved the impossible. They had faced extinction and survived through nothing but creativity, courage, and the power of a perfectly crafted lie. The Prometheus continued its journey home, carrying the crew that had saved their entire species by convincing the most powerful military force in the galaxy that humanity was too dangerous to conquer. Dr. Chon summed it up perfectly. Captain, we just won the most important war in human history, and we never fired a single shot. Elena smiled as she watched the alien fleet disappearing into deep space. Humanity's greatest weapon had indeed been a lie, but it was a lie backed by the most human traits of all: imagination, determination, and the refusal to surrender even when facing impossible odds.